How we doing, people? Hope you're well. Big up to everybody that is here, nice, bright and early. I say nice and bright and early. I, of course, mean for the stream, not in the day. It's been a beautiful day outside. If I'm honest with you, it's been a little bit too hot, but I can't complain. The summer is here. August has been beautiful. June and July are a bit naff, but the summer is definitely here. Today, we're going to be talking about Eddie Nketiah. We're going to be talking about Ivan Toney. We're going to be talking about Kingsley Coman. We're going to be talking about all transfers in relation to Arsenal. And, of course, a build-up. Looking back at yesterday, but of course looking forwards towards Wolves. Judges, are you keeping cool, mate?
Whew, it's a bit of a scorcher today. Like, I've got to go football in a minute. Like, I mean, I'm not looking forward to that. It might have to be a bit of walking football instead of running around today. But yeah, it was a hot one yesterday as well. I think maybe that took a little bit of a toll on the game itself. It sort of faded out a little bit, like, you know. So, but yeah, looking forward to a good couple of days sunshine, and then obviously, like, you know, getting ready now for the Wolves game. And I know you're not going to like this, but no Neto in the Wolves side, like, you know, gone to Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, they'll miss him for sure, but they'll only miss him for the times that he's on the pitch, because for most of this last 3 seasons, he's played about 15 games. And I can understand why people wouldn't want him. The difference you've got, though, Lee, just touching on that, as soon as you brought it up, Arsenal would have played him for about 15, 20. Chelsea are going to have to play him for near on 40 because he's their best winger now. Because Cole Palmer's going to play more centrally, they've said. So that means they're going to need Pedro Neto to stay fit. And he's not been able to do that for 3 years. So that's the risk they've taken. You know, it is a good signing, but it's a risky one, mate. £54 million, I think, or £52 million. I don't know what you make of it, Lee.
Well, you know, it's just what I make of it is like, you know, Chelsea continue to keep doing it, keep spending. I hear that likes of ourselves, Everton and Spurs and every other team in the league, bar Chelsea, can just do what they like. I find it very, very funny that Man United got a special compensation for a £40 million deficit. You know what I mean? Which wasn't granted to Everton and Nottingham Forest. I don't really understand all this crap. I don't know what's going on, like, you know what I mean? But our team, like Chelsea, can continue to keep spending, and all I hear about Arsenal is, oh, we've got to sell before we can buy. It's ridiculous. You know what I mean? I don't know what's going on, but obviously they're able to do it, and good luck to them. I thought, like, if they didn't sell Gallagher, they was going to be in trouble, and then all of a sudden they signed Gallagher and they're in trouble. They're not in trouble, like, you know. So, you know, I don't know. I don't really know what's going on. But listen, the word is out there: patient. Let's be patient, like, you know. And I know that people are getting a little bit stressed out about the transfers and all that. Like, we're at a stage of the development and whatever where it's not we're desperate for signings, Dan. You know what I mean? Look, other teams are desperate for players. Chelsea's got to do a hell of a lot of work. You know what I mean? To get to where we are at this moment in time. Manchester United the same. So we're in a position where we don't have to really rush in, but I do believe we've still got to sign a couple of players. And maybe, like, we're having a little bit of difficulty trying to get these players going. But listen, I think at the end of the day, you know, all the talk about Eddie today, again, listen, there's more than one team out there, Dan. You know what I mean? So we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah.
But at this moment in time, I'm not going to say that I'm delighted with the way things are going, because I do think we still need to do a few more. But I'm willing to just say, okay, we're not desperate, are we? So we just can take our time and hopefully get the deals over. I've still got confidence in the powers of be.
Well, I mean, we're going to have to, mate, because that's all we can do. And I'm with you. I'm not losing my head until the window shuts. But if we leave ourselves short and the window carries on the way it's been going, then, yeah, I don't think we're going to win the league. If we surprise and we get a few players in towards the last couple of weeks, then, of course, we're going to be well up for it, and everyone will get excited again. So it can change very quickly. Wanted to talk to you about the Eddie news. Obviously, Eddie Nketiah looks like the deal is off now to Marseille. Might as well bring this up. This story come in from Fabrizio Romano, suggesting that Marseille have pulled out of the race. Now, there was rumours that they put in that last final bid and said we can't go any higher. Arsenal said, no, we still want more, and they've now apparently said that they're not interested. According to Romano, Marseille did not want to match Arsenal demands of a €30 million package for Eddie Nketiah, and they have now instead decided to pursue a move for Wahi from Lons. You remember him, Lee, last in the Champions League? He was up top for them. He actually looked quite a good player, to be fair.
Yes, I do remember him. Like, yes, he did. He done
Yeah,
very well against us, particularly over there.
he
I
did.
remember that.
Yeah, he did. Over there, he was good. And I know he smashed them at home, but he does look like a player that can be quite dangerous. So, look, I can see why Marseille are looking at him. He's probably cheaper. And let's be real, he's probably as good, if not better, if I'm honest with you, because Eddie Nketiah is not, in my opinion, 35 million euro player. In this market, you might think that he is, but really, Marseille have got a good deal in getting why he was suited to that league anyway. So that would be good news for Marseille. Do you think any other team will come in for him now, Lee? Do you think maybe like a Bournemouth with Solanke's money of 65 million might look at spending 25, 30 million pounds on him? I mean, 30 million euros, it works out around about 27 million, doesn't it? Something like that. I think 26, 27 million. So I don't know what your thoughts are on the Eddie Nketiah deal now.
Yeah, I think that there'll be other teams out there for him. Like, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, I do. I really do. I won't get too worried about it at this moment in time. Listen, at the end of the day, I think £27 million is a fair deal for someone that's proven to score goals in the Premier League. I know, like, you can say what you want about Eddie, but he done a job for us when we was middle to top of the Premier League. So I'm pretty sure that he could do a job for someone in the Premier League. I think at the end of it, just wait and see what happens. I think it may be one that comes at the end. Bournemouth, we know, are looking for someone, but if Bournemouth are looking for someone, it might be that they take someone from someone, and then it opens it up for Eddie. Like, you know what I mean? If I'm Eddie now, I'm just playing the waiting game and see what happens. Like, but I'm pretty sure something will happen with Eddie. If it doesn't, then then so be it. You know what I mean? He's not a terrible player. But what I'll be disappointed in if they do come out then and go, well, Eddie ain't we couldn't get so and so because we couldn't get rid of Eddie. That will be a disappointing thing for me. Like, listen, I'm going to keep my powder dry about it. It's no good going off about things at the moment, because if you are to moan about the transfer window at this moment, you could be like embarrassed 2 days later if we go and sign someone and whatever. So you might just wait until the end. If at the end of this transfer window, if Arsenal have not bought a midfield player and not bought a striker, then you're prepared to, I think you're in your rights as a paying customer of Arsenal Football Club to have a right go at Edu and the powers that be, because at the end of the day, I think that would be a poor transfer window. Just a left back that at the end of the day is very, very good and looked very good yesterday, by the way. But at the end of the day, someone that we could have got through the season with or without. I don't think we can do it from a forward point of view or a midfield point of view, And at the end of the day, I will say this: it's all right saying, yeah, get rid of Eddie, get rid of that. If no one wants them, it's very hard. You know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure, if I put up on eBay a pair of my second-hand pants, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to go. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure there'll be some sad bastard out there that'll buy them. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you haven't got a buyer, then that's the end of it. It doesn't matter what you could, you can be the best salesman in the world. If no one wants to take it, it don't. And one thing that I have found out in this transfer window, Dan, is that everybody's being a little bit cautious with their money this time around. Like, it doesn't seem like massive amounts of money
Apart from Chelsea.
Apart from Chelsea again, yeah, exactly that. Listen, Spurs spent big money on Solanke, massive money on Solanke, and I'm sitting there today on the train thinking, who would you prefer in your team, Solanke or Ivan Toney? Who would you prefer?
I'd have Ivan Toney.
Yeah, but Ivan Toney's a top class striker, right? I think very, very good. England international, so's Eddie, but they can't sell him, or there's no one coming in for him. So if no one's coming in for Ivan Toney, not going to be really spending big money on Eddie, are they? So I don't know. If Ivan Toney does go somewhere, it might mean that there's a place at Brentford. I don't really know. It's just a funny situation at this moment in time, So we'll have to wait and see, Dan. I'm curious, I'm looking forward to the season. Obviously, I am, but I can't wait until this transfer window shuts, because it does. People lose their head a little bit, you know what I mean, and whatever. And someone, and I asked you this question as well. Someone said it to me. I done a show the other day talking about transfers, and someone said, yeah, but you can't, it's not all about spending money all the time, Lee, you know what I mean? And is that right or is that wrong? I get what he's saying, you know what I mean? Like, what have Arsenal now got to go and spend another 600 million to try and get to the when does it stop and when does it start? I don't know, Dan, you know what I mean? Like,
it's about spending money, but it's about spending it on the right players. That's the difference. When you look at what Manchester United have spent over the last decade, you'd be stunned. Look at what they spent it on. To be fair, look at what Arsenal was spending it on previous to Mikel Arteta. It was a shambles, right? But for me now, I think the players that we've got available to us, it needs to be better than Calafiori and Marino, our window. And I think it will be. I mean, I'll bring this super chat in because it touches on it in a nice segue, actually. Highbury Ultra says, surely if we only sign Calafiori and Marino, serious questions need to be asked of the Cronkies. For me, transfer expenditure is not on the manager. Where is the Champions League money? ? I think we will spend, Lee, but I don't think it's going to be 250 million. It don't seem like we've got that money in the bank for some reason. And people are saying maybe Arsenal are a bit skint. How are we skint, though? How? I don't think, PSR is done now. That was last time. We now got this amount of funds. Has PSR really screwed everybody this much? Like, is everybody now skint because of PSR? I don't get it.
Not buying it. I'm not buying that, Dan, because what are Chelsea doing then? If Chelsea are doing it, why not other people doing it? So I'm not buying into all of that. Like, listen, I can't emphasise enough. Like, yes, we are entitled, and every fan is entitled to get the ump and get angry about it. Like, you know what I mean? But once the transfer window's closed, I know what you're saying. Listen, I'm a little bit peeved at the moment. Like, why are they asking for me? I go, my season ticket's gone up this season. Like, you know what I mean? Like, quite a lot and all that. Like, you know what I mean? So why should I have to be scrimping and saving and the club's not going out and spending? There's money there. I don't care what anybody says. And I get it.
Do you blame the Cronkies like Lee? Do you think the Cronkies have got to look at this window and sort us out?
Yeah. But you know, it might be that Mikel Arteta saying, no, I've got enough. I think I've got enough to win the league. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's I really don't know, Dan. Who's at fault here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know that from my point of view, I'm looking at it right, and I'm thinking we need definitely two players in the team. If when I sat down in the transfer window, what it's going to take for Arsenal to win the league? Yeah, a striker and a midfield player. That's what I would say, right? That's not now what we're in now, August the 12th. None of them have come in and a left back stroke central defenders come in. That I don't get that. You know what I mean? Like, if the club's struggling for money, right? This is my argument. If when people go, "Oh, we're struggling for money, so why go and spend 40 million on a player we don't need? Why we've got the best defence in the league? Why do we need to not strengthen there? People will turn around and say we've got the best attack in the world, could score the most goals. I'm not so sure about that, but sometimes that's life. But I do think defensively we're saying, why, if you've got no money, it's like at the end of the day, Dan, if you've got no money, you're not going to go and buy another pair of trainers when your jeans have got holes in them, have you? What are you going to go and buy? You're going to go and buy the jeans, aren't you? Like, so I don't buy that. I don't get it that the club's got no money, and that's one of the questions I would love to ask. Why have you not? If you go, we haven't got that money. Why are you spending? Listen, I've nothing against Calafiori. Looks a very, very good player, but you know what I'm getting at here.
Yeah.
Is that signing going to win us the league? But is a striker going to? I don't know. But I tell you what, I've got more chance of winning the league if we bring in attacking options than defensive ones. I have to say, like, I mean, maybe he's brought that defender in because he knew maybe Timber's not going to be quite ready for it this season. I don't know, Dan. I really don't know. Maybe he's brought him in because Tomiyasu's not going to be about for 6 months, which does look like it's the case now. So maybe in from that point of view, they do need someone. But we all know Thomas Partey, as good as what he was yesterday, ain't going to play 40 games this season. You know what I mean? If he does, well, I'll run around here naked. There you go, like, you know what I mean? So let's hope we don't make 40 games.
No.
Well,
Well, he's not going to, mate. Trust me, he ain't going to. And Jorginho and Party are back up. We need midfielders. We need a winger. We need a striker after Calafiori. And if we do that, brilliant stuff. But I'll say this. I do not understand what takes so long at Arsenal. People say, well, these things take time. Not for Chelsea. Pedro Neto linked, signed within 20 hours, done. So why is Marino 4 weeks later still linked with us? What is happening there? He's clearly the player we want. We got Calafiori across the line. We were told Basel, they deserve money. Roma, they're owed money. There's sell-on clauses, personal terms to be agreed. They're coming back from the Euros. I was like, okay, I'll buy it. Still a bit long for my liking, but cool. No problem. We'll give them, be patient. We're patient. We get the player through the door. We're linked with Marino for, it's been 5 weeks now. We've been linked with Marino, maybe 6. What's taking so long here, Lee? What's going on?
I can't answer that. Like, you know what I mean? Look how quick Tottenham went into Solanke. It was 3 or 4 days. But there must be things being done behind the scenes. So I think that at the end of the day, stay patient. Like, you know, I do look at Arsenal at the moment, and I see people are losing their heads and everything. And I get that, and I'm not having a moan at people when they are that. But I do still see a very, very good side at Arsenal. I see some very, very good players. I see a very, very good pattern of play. I just think at the end of the day, and I'm with you on this and a lot of other Arsenal fans, we are so close to winning the league. You know what I mean? That's the thing. And if they're not going to go over the thing to get it will just leave a little bitter taste in your mouth. And I get that. We put ourselves in a really, really good position now, and if we're not going to just force it over, that's the end of it, like, you know. And at the end of it, I think then you've got to blame the Cronkies at the end of the day that they've not backed the managers or whatever. I know that if I'm Cronky and I've got all this money and whatever, I would be just saying to them, "Come on, get me. We're this close to the title now. Bring me the title. Bring me it." It was so close last year, Dan. It hurt. You know,
last 2 years.
Last 2 years, but more so last year. They even had to do mock celebration things and everything like that. That's how close we was last year, Dan. Like, do you know what I mean? So at the end of it, we just got to force it today, and just please do. Listen. If we was to sign someone like a big striker now, I think or a big midfielder, everybody would be so happy today. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I get everybody at this moment is, you know, I see in the chat people going, "Oh, it's their dude's fault," blah 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 blah. Like, you know, you have to understand that these got us to where we are now, that close to winning the title.
Let me say this, Lee. Let me say this. For those that are doing that, I understand it. I get the frustration. We can't do that until the window shuts. We can't. We can have a moan about it and say, why is it taking so long? The only way we can start going, it's his fault, it's their fault, it's his fault, it's this group of people's fault, is when it shuts and we're short. If this window shuts and we've got Calafiori and nobody else, I can understand the meltdown. Yeah. Because everyone knows we need more than that, right? Everybody knows we didn't lose the title last year because our left back weren't good enough, right? There were definitely points we threw away, but there was definite goals we didn't score and weren't clinical enough. There was definitely players putting in midfield in number 8 positions that shouldn't have been playing there. So if we don't fill the number 8 in the striker position and we don't have cover for Saka, we're not going to win the league, in my opinion. The left back's now done. Marino wants to come. It's clear that that's going to be the next signing. We're waiting for Nelson and Eddie to go out the door. There's rumours that Ramsdale, maybe Kivior, maybe even Toney, if he's fit enough, might get a move as well. But none of those are going to be massive reasons as to why we don't win the league or not, even if they stay or go. For me, it's who we bring in. Calafiori's a great start. I think he'll play left back. Thought he looked pretty good when he came on for 20 minutes. I know it wasn't long enough, but he looked pretty good. We'll touch on that in a minute. Marino coming in is definitely an improvement on that. For me, it's about a winger and a striker now. I'll bring this in from Sarah. Big up, Sarah. Another super chat, which comes in nicely to this. Says, if Spurs can spend £65 million on a striker, then surely that we can. There has to be a surprise at the end of this window. I want Eze and Victor Osimhen to come end of this window. Do you think something like that could happen, Lee, in the next coming weeks?
Yeah, I do. And I'll be shocked if it doesn't happen, Dan. Shocked if it doesn't happen. I really will. I understand it. I see that people are in the chat saying about it. I understand. I totally agree with everything that people are saying, like, you know, I'm not accepting second this year, Dan. I'm not accepting second. I had the last couple of years. I expect Arsenal to win this league this year, like, you know what I mean? Now, why I expect them to win this league is because we was damn close last season. We should get stronger. Manchester City shouldn't. If you have a look at the age of their squad and things like that, and their players, right? You know, like, for instance, De Bruyne can get no better than what he is, even though he's fantastic. Odegaard can. All of these players can. So I get that. But so I'm there at the end of it, like, you know. Now, if they don't go and buy nobody, there's my excuse. You had the opportunity to go and buy somebody, and you didn't. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, and that is the ultimate there. I just see someone in the chat say seconds failure. You know what I mean? Like 2-3 years ago, fourth was fantastic. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, the progression's there, guys. You know what I mean? Let's not get that we're now. We're not talking about top four no more here, or are we going to get top four like we have done for 10, 15? We're talking title. We're talking Premier League, the golden, the holy bloody grail, right? You know what I mean? This is it. Make sure you get it, like, you know what I mean? Like, and this is what I'm saying. You've got the opportunity to do it, and you're spending £40 million on a left back. That is why people are going to get angry, Dan, and going to get frustrated. And I get that completely. I get it. There's no excuses no more. You get out there. If you don't win that league and you don't go and buy the striker and you don't spend no money, that is down on Arteta, that is down on Edu, that's down on everybody at Arsenal Football Club, because they're asking you to spend your money and they're not. So don't. What my if I spoke to Edu now, but don't give people the opportunity to dig you out. Give it everything that you've got to win it, like, you know what I mean? Like, everything you need to win this title. And I don't think at this moment in time we have at present. But there's still, is that right, 3 weeks to go for 3 weeks. Still 3 weeks to go. Long time in football. So, you know, at the end of it, we've still got a very, very good team. We've got a very, very good team to get us through 3 weeks to the transfer window. I get it. But let's just take a little chill pill at this moment in time. I honestly believe, putting me nuts on the line here, like, you know what I mean, I do believe that we will sign a big one. When Edu comes out and turns around and says, be patient, we'll be happy at the end of the season, at the end of the transfer window, I'm going to believe that. I'm going to believe that. And back it, because at the end of the day, they've not let me down in the last few years. They haven't, then, like, you know what I mean? Like, we've got some fantastic players in our football club at the moment. Look at the team we've actually got. That's been built by Edu and that's been built by Arteta. You look at it. I didn't agree with the Raya one, but you know what I mean? We've got two fantastic goalkeepers at the moment. Ben White, £50 million. Everybody said that was a lot of money at the time. Now it's a bargain. Saliba, bargain. Gabriel, bargain. Shinchenko, like, you know, like looking like he's back to his very, very best at this moment in time. We don't really know about Calafiori, but then you go into the midfield, Declan Rice, but Martin Odegaard, come on. You know what I mean? Like, Kai Havertz produced. Listen, there's a lot of, you know, like, people will turn around and go, oh, there's a few mistakes along the way. There is. But Arsenal have built a very, very good side at the moment. But there is an argument, is it good enough to win the league? I don't think it is, Dan, at this moment in time. Even though it's a very, very good side, if you're betting on winning the league this season, I'm not. But if you was to bring in Eze and a centre forward, or even just Eze, just bring in Eze. Just say that's the only one you bring in, Dan, right? Yeah? Right? I think you're in a better position to win the league than what you are now. That's my opinion.
That's my opinion too. I think Eze and Gyökeres are the two that I said that I would like. But it looks like, Lee, we're linked with a winger that is not Eze. At the moment, the one that is being linked with Arsenal is Kingsley Coman over at Bayern Munich. Obviously, they've brought in Elise. They've got already Leroy Sané and Serge Gnabry and Musiala and other attacking midfielders. And Kingsley Coman is the guy that Arsenal, according to a couple of sports reports, suggesting that we are plotting a shock move to sign Kingsley Coman on a season-long loan. Sources have told Football Insider that Coman is keen on making a move to Arsenal this summer, but would seek assurances over his playing time, which is, to be fair, something which all these wingers are going to do because they know they're coming to Arsenal with Saka, Martinelli and Trossard already there. So I can understand why potentially they might be doing that. But I wanted to ask you, Lee, about this because I like the player. I think he's great, can play off both wings. He's definitely won everything in the game. He's experienced head, obviously with France and over in Germany with Bayern Munich as well. But his injury record isn't great again, Lee. This is a problem at the moment we've got with these wingers that we link with, like Pedro Neto and others. Kingsley Coman has had some injury problems, mate. What do you make of this one?
I'm with you on that. We're in this sort of like the Harry Kane situation with Spurs with Spurs when they're trying to get a centre forward. If you're going to say, if I'm coming, where am I going to play? Are you going to back up Saka? Are you going to back up Martinelli? Or you know, what I mean, I can't. You come in as a backup, like, or a player that's going to, you know, you can't be guaranteed a start. I even think if you was to get a centre forward like £80 million, I mean, guaranteed starting then. So it's difficult. It's not for me, if I'll be really honest. But and I'll tell you why it's not for me, because I think if you're going to be a backup, I'd rather have someone that's going to develop and be an in and out one, so there ain't causing no problems. I think like Trossard at the moment, like I think it's fantastic, but he's causing problems for Arteta. In a nice way, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if Arteta can have that on the right hand side as well as the left. I don't know, like, you know, I don't know. At the end of the day, wouldn't it be better to go and spend big on a midfield player or a striker, and then say to Jesus, or even Martinelli, you're going to have to cover the right hand side at times? Why? I think that's a better solution, Dan. I really do. Jesus has played there. Martinelli can play there because he cuts in on the left. I don't think it's not as good as Saka, but you know what I'm saying, like, and also then it just makes it a little bit easier for Arteta. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I personally would go for a striker over it, over a wide man, because then obviously Jesus can play there. I'm just adding up his injury record, and it doesn't look great, if I'm honest with you. In the 152 days between January and June, he has played, let me add it up, he has only been available for 50 of those days.
So that just shows you. So
between January and June, he's had knee medial ligament tears, muscular problems, adductor injuries, which has kept him out for 50 days between January and March, 4 days in April, and 48 days across April, May, and June. That is poor injury records, man. That is poor. He's only 28, but that is a massive risk. Massive risk.
See, like, you know, someone just said in the chat that you know what I mean, we need a replacement for Saka. Like, are you stupid, right? You know what I mean, right? So, how many games do you think Saka should play next season?
Out of the 40 games,
out of 38 games,
50.
Say out of 50 games.
Premier League. We're just talking Premier League. Or
how many games in the Premier League do you want him to play?
I'd like him to play between 28 and 30 still. 30. If he's fit for every single one.
So you want to bring a £50 million player in to play 8 games.
8 games. This is what we've got. This is the problem that you've got. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day. So when people say, wouldn't you prefer to have Jesus playing those 8 games? You know what I mean? Like that. You know what I mean? Is what I'm saying. Like, you know what I mean? If we can only get one, I would say we've got to go and get a striker, because Saka and Jesus can play there.
That's my thing. You know what I mean? That's my thing. You know what I mean? I'm not saying we don't go out and get anybody. I'm saying, like,
I totally get what you're saying. I totally do.
If for me, I'm going, get out there, get a striker, and then you can put Jesus out there, or if you play a left white, if you go and buy a left white player, you can put Martinelli out there. That's all I'm saying. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's very, very difficult on there. You know what I mean? Like, Harvey, have I mentioned Vieira in any of the conversation? Have I? Like, you know what I mean? We played Vieira. I've not said that, have I? I've said Jesus or Martinelli going out there. There's a difference. Are you not happy with Jesus going and cover? You know, I asked a question in the chat. If Jesus was to cover Saka, is that not a bad thing? He's done it for Manchester City. I'm not saying it's ideal, but what I'm saying is it's better than. That's all I'm saying. Like, you know,
I think what we're saying is, in a nutshell, if we can only afford one, it's got to be a striker because we have cover for Saka with Jesus. At the moment, the reason that Jesus isn't covering Saka is because he's covering the striker role. So if we got a striker in, we would have that striker and Havertz, and then Jesus as the third choice, or even Trossard, and then Jesus can be the cover for Saka and start some of the games. That's what I think we're saying. For me, I would love to get both because Eze and Gyökeres, the two that I want. Eze is versatile enough to cover a number of positions, including the right winger role, and Gyökeres is the striker that I want. So I understand that one. If we are going to go and get a Kingsley Coman, who's he playing against then? Who's he starting? Is he starting? Is he playing on the left and we have Coman and Saka and we leave Martinelli and Trossard out? Like, what's happening here? So I understand what you're saying. We do need competition. We do need 100% somebody like that to come in and compete with Saka. But at the same time, if we can only bring one of them in, it has to be a striker over a winger for me. It just has to be. Because if you're adding 30 goals for someone who's starting, because let's be real, out of the two that we bring in, a winger or a striker, the striker's going to start. The winger's going to float around and be competition for places. I want the starter in the team, man. I want the guy who's going to get us 25, 30 goals. If that's Gyökeres, if it's Osimhen, if it's Toney, I don't care. I'd rather bring that person in than bring in another winger that can compete with Trossard, Martinelli, Saka and Jesus. That's what I'm getting at. So, yes, both would be great. But at the moment, nothing's moving, Lee. Like, we're literally linked with no striker whatsoever anymore. Gyökeres has gone quiet. Osimhen has gone quiet. Ivan Toney interest is Saudi Pro League. Saudi teams are looking at him now because nobody in the Premier League are looking at Ivan Toney, which I find bizarre. For 45, 50 million, they'd rather get Solanke in for 65 million. So the striker market is just dead, Lee, at the moment. It's dead, mate.
Yeah, and it may hot up again and be on the quiet. Like, listen, like the Neto one come out of nowhere. Solanke one come out of nowhere. It may be like, Gyökeres comes very, very at the end of it. I don't know. Maybe they negotiate. Who knows? You know what I mean? Like, but I'm with you, Dan. Let's just stay patient, see what happens on that front. I think that can we all agree on this? Like, we all want a striker coming in, don't we? Is there anybody that don't want a striker coming in? I don't think there. I think everybody does want that.
Surely not.
That's what I see. Like, so we'll have to wait to see what happens on it. But I'm pretty sure Arsenal will do something, but I don't know who. Dan, you know what I mean? Listen, the Solanke one come out. Like all of a sudden, I've got a bit of a foot injury, and then bosh, it's done. You know what I mean? So, and listen, when those deals do go through and get agreed, they do go through very, very quickly. So, maybe there'll be some negotiations, and then bang, it's done. Like, I bloody hope so. Anyway, like, because we're in a very, very good position, and I can see in the chat people are getting a little bit frustrated, and I get that, like, you know what I mean. But at the end of it, at the moment, we're still a bloody good team.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think everyone knows we're a good side, and I think that's fair. I think it's what we need to do now to maximise this window to allow us to get across the line. That's where we were at, Lee. Like, if we were coming up against a team that was Liverpool quality or Manchester United or Chelsea or even Spurs or Villa or Newcastle, I think we'd look at the squad and we'd go, do you know what? Calafiori and Marino, I think we'll be all right there. But we're coming up against Man City who have a Haaland. We haven't got a Haaland. We're trying to get a De Bruyne out of Ødegaard, but we don't have the Foden in the team and the Bernardo Silva backup either side of KDB. We don't have a Rodri in our side. We've got close to it in Declan Rice. We're trying to match as best we can now, So there you had a Rodri. We didn't have one of them. Now we've got to try to get a Rodri with Rice. We've got to try and get a Haaland now. And there's not many Haalands out there, mate. When there isn't many Haalands out there, who's to say that we buy Victor Osimhen and Victor Gyökeres and they get 9 goals? That could happen, Lee. We could spend a hell of a lot of money and they could get less goals than Havertz. Do you know what I mean? That could happen. But
of course you could.
You've got to take that risk.
Of course you could, and that's my point of saying it. I think Arsenal still, as I said, they're still a bloody good team and all that, but we've got this window of opportunity to make ourselves better than Man City. Like, at this moment in time, if the season starts now, I don't know if would I be out of order to say that still City would be favourites to win the league this season. If you look at the bookies, they're probably favourites. But if Arsenal were to go and buy that striker, I think the odds for us will go down even more. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I think if Arsenal are going to win the league, I think Arsenal will come close. But I just think if we get the striker, we're going there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, And it's not accepting mediocre, whatever it is, mediocre. What I'm saying on that, like, we're second. We're the second best team in this country at this moment in time. That's not being mediocre. What's the word? Mediocrity.
Mediocre. Yeah.
We're a lot. We're going for fourth is sort of like that. Like the mindset for every Arsenal fan now, and this is why I love it when everybody's getting the ump, is the mindset of us Arsenal fans. I'm pretty sure we can all agree this is not. We're not happy with second. We've had it 2 years on the spot. We want it first. We want to go first now. And I think that's fantastic. Like, you know what I mean? That we're not happy with second. We want to win it. That's why we're frustrated. Like, I'm frustrated, frustrated from last season. And I felt like, what cost? I don't really know what cost us the league last season. If you look at it, what actually was the real reason that was it squad depth? Was it we didn't have a gun up front? Was it the left back situation? I don't know.
It was a culmination. It was fine margins. I do think there was game management problems from Mikel Arteta. I don't know why we dropped Havertz back into that 8 role against Villa and Bayern Munich.
For that game, yeah.
I also don't know why we seem to have a bit of a mentality problem still. Maybe it is because some of the team are young, but they're not that young anymore. I kind of feel like the excuse of we've got a young team is running out now because they're experienced young players. Do you know what I mean? You could be a young player but still have experience. But there definitely was a mentality issue when we went to the Etihad and we went to Anfield. We couldn't win at Villa Park. We couldn't beat Villa home or away or Fulham home and away. Couldn't go to St James Park and win. Those are the sort of big games. Bayern Munich we couldn't get through against. When it mattered, up here, they still ain't quite got it yet. So I think the manager and the players, they still ain't quite ready to get across the line yet. That's why I think we didn't do it. Whether we're going to be this year or not, I don't know. We got to go again, of course. I think, listen, I know that we said the Calafiori deal was a bit of a strange one earlier, but I kind of do understand it because the left back was just a bit of a nightmare last year. But that ain't enough, Lee. That ain't enough. We've got to go and get Marino after this, and then we've got to go and get at least a striker, if not a winger and a striker for me, to have a real sort of good go at having 2 players in each position, which is what Man City have got. So that's where I'm at with it. And, I wanted to mention about Ivan Toney quick because there is interest from Saudi Pro League today. And I don't know about you, but if we weren't going to get any striker, that's Osimhen or Gyökeres, I would rather sign Ivan Toney than not get a striker this summer. But I don't know what your thoughts are.
I totally agree. I agree with what your mum said in the chat just now. Like, you know what I mean? If for one thing, I do think it was missing chances at right. We missed a lot of chances. You go back to that Aston Villa game, should have been 2-0 up, 3-0 up before we lost that game. Same as West Ham. So I'm in that camp. You know what I mean? It's a recurring theme of missing chances. And yeah, like, you know what I mean? Is Toney better than Eddie? Of course he is. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm going down that route, and I don't care if you talk about and he's got a bit of baggage and all that. Like, you know what I mean? So a lot of good players have got baggage. So I'm in the camp of like no, go and get Toney. Like, if that is what it means to be there. Like, I think that Tony's one. The Gyökeres one is not going away. I do still think that there's still gambles. I don't think that Toney coming is going to be like dead set. But then again, I don't know who he's going to be like. You know what I mean? And the question you have to ask, and I still ask this question is, and I ask it in the chat. Why have Tottenham spent £65 million on Solanke when Toney was available? I know he's the better player. Why? So why are teams steering away from him? I don't understand that. I do not understand it. Maybe it's wages. I don't know. But for me, Toney would be a perfect foil for us this season. I think maybe Toney would get us through to win the league. That is what I'm saying. Like, it's really.
I think we would have won the league if we had Toney last year, Lee. I think we might have.
Yeah,
I honestly think we might have. You just mentioned games that we missed chances.
Yeah, I do. I just think I look back at it last season, and I was talking about this today. If I really pinpointed games and whatever, I think you can look back at that Fulham West Ham games over Christmas when we should beat West Ham at home and shouldn't lose to Fulham away. But that week, when we played Aston Villa in between the 2 Bayern Munich games, I feel that we was lacking something those days. A little bit of know-how. We was winning that game 1-0, and we missed that very, very good chance from Ben White. If we'd have gone 2-0 up, it would have been different. I felt the manager and everybody at that day didn't really have the experience. I think if that was to happen now, I think we'd be all right. I think we've got the experience. I just think we lacked a little bit of know-how going for it. Certainly in that game against Bayern Munich, I felt Bayern Munich weren't that great. And I felt that we had a couple of chances. Remember Martinelli smashed over, but someone like Toney or a striker up there, I think we go and win that game. Now, don't forget that game was won by a defender, like, you know what I mean. Kimmich got the goal, didn't he? Like, you know, Kimmich got the goal. Sometimes it happens, you know what I mean? Like, you know, like even in yesterday's game, I look at that game, didn't really create a lot of chances yesterday, but we win that game through set pieces. So look, you're going to get games like that, but I just think that if we was to go and get a top striker, it would frighten teams a little bit more, Dan. You know what I mean? I know we frighten teams, but I just, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I say. I don't know. You know what I mean? This conversation is going to go on and on and on. And if we don't buy one, it's going to go on and on and on all through next season. It is. And at the end of the day, I don't think anybody's wrong to say that Arsenal need a striker. I don't. I think that we do. And if we don't address the areas that we're flawed in, I think you have to look at the manager and they do, like, you know, I'm looking at it and I'm going, right, you haven't really backed up Partey yet, you know what I mean? And surely you're not going to rely on that because you've had enough experience over 4 or 5 years now to know that that's not going to work. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm sorry, like, you know what I mean? You know, you keep going to the garage and getting your roller and it don't start. Eventually, you know, you're going to get pissed off and keep walking to work. You know what I mean? Like that, and 5 years of it, I think I would have got a bit peed off of it. That's my thing about it. I don't know. I think Arsenal, as I say, I'll be shocked to the core if they don't make two more signings. Shocked to the core.
I will too, man. Listen, let's move to yesterday's game and this weekend before we do come to a close and wrap up. Who impressed you yesterday? And do you think that's a similar side that's going to play against Wolves? Because I looked at the game yesterday and the lineup and thought, yeah, I can see that pretty much being the team that plays against Wolves. Obviously, Calafiori come on as a debut. Not too sure if he's ready to start a game or not at the weekend. I expect it to be a similar front three. Maybe Trossard starting over Martinelli. Not sure Jesus gets into the first team. Certainly Partey, who I thought was brilliant yesterday, and Rice, who I thought was as good, if not even better. And Ødegaard should be in the midfield. Gabriel and Saliba, again, great performance, 2 goals, set pieces, another clean sheet. They definitely deserve to start with Ben White. And Zinchenko, who I must say, offensively, has been played very well in the last couple of games. But in my opinion, defensively, still an issue. So what did you make of yesterday and what's your thoughts going into this weekend, Lee?
Yeah, just exactly all of that, really. I felt that, you know, that I think that would be the team. I think maybe with Martinelli and Trossard swapping over, whatever way it is, one starts, one finishes. That's how I think it would be. I would go with that team that played yesterday. I felt that Partey was outstanding, showed what a very, very good player he is, beats the lines better than anybody else in that midfield role. I have to say that, like, you know. So for me, he plays there. Rice looked like he's getting very, very much back to where he was. Saka as well, like, you know, they're not quite there yet, but I think with another week's training, they should be. Defensively sound, I have to say that the three there is guaranteed. I think Zinchenko's done enough to start, Dan. I really do. That puts a little bit more pressure on Martinelli to get back and track back, which he does very, very well, and done it again yesterday on a couple of occasions. But I think that is probably going to be the team that starts, and that should be enough to beat Fulham. Wolves.
Yeah, it should be enough to beat. So offensively, as I say, you know, I've never had a problem with him. Defensively, not for me. Luckily, Pedro Neto won't be playing, so maybe he won't go up against a tricky winger, but we'll soon find out, mate. Wanted to talk to you about Martinelli quickly because Trossard I thought was immense against Bayer Leverkusen. Martinelli started and I thought kind of flattered to deceive a bit. I didn't think he was outstanding. I thought he had a lot of tenacity and work rate. Passion and desire still there. People saying he's lost a bit of pace and he wasn't his best game. I only saw extended highlights. What did you make of his performance, Lee?
Yeah, I felt he looked a little bit there, not quite sharp enough yet, but he got another week for it to happen. I felt that if I be honest, he looked a little bit more dangerous than Saka, if I be honest, but no one would dare say that. I think that he decision making's got to improve at times. There's a couple of times yesterday I felt that he should have shot and he passed, and then when he should have passed, he shot. So I think that's got to come there. But all in all, I didn't think it was a bad performance from him. A little bit, if only the cross would have gone in, if this would have happened, if that would have happened. A lot of ifs. I have to say, I thought Trossard was outstanding in the game before on the Wednesday. I thought he was fantastic. Really, really, really good. So if you're looking at both games and you turn around and say it, overall, you'd say that Trossard's done it there. But realistically, Martinelli is the main gun up front. You know what I mean? Like he would have been playing if it weren't for injury. And I think at the end of the day, Arteta's got a gem on his hand. He's got to back it, make sure that it comes through and does very, very well. I always feel there's a little bit more pressure on Martinelli to perform than Saka. I think if Saka's having an off day, he'll still stay on. If Martinelli's having an off day, he'll come off. So I think mentally he's got to be strong, because he's got competition in his team where I don't think Saka's got that. So it'd be really interesting to see what happens. But for me, whoever starts, not bothered. If I'll be really honest, I think both have done okay on this thing. But I just think Martinelli gives us just something that little bit different, and I think that's what we need this season. Pace. I don't know if it's pace. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, don't forget, it's very, very hot yesterday. It's still pre-season.
Yeah, I don't know if he has dropped a yard of pace. Someone was saying that yesterday on a stream, but I'm not sure if that's the facts or the case. I will say this though, Lee, the bench today ain't really been fixed at the moment with the injuries we got. Obviously, Tomiyasu was out, Tierney's out. Not that he would have made the bench anyway. Timber at the moment, there's doubts about him, but Arteta said he probably will be okay. That really only leaves us on the bench with Calafiori from the defensive point, obviously Jorginho from a midfield point, on the wing, Martinelli or Trossard, and Jesus. It's still weak, isn't it? It's still weak.
Well, yeah, it doesn't look bad, but don't forget, you still got Wanyeri. I still think looks very, very good. Yeah, Kiviera as well, I suppose, will be on there. And I think a couple of youngsters will be on the bench, Dan. I really do like it. And it needs strengthening. I'll tell you that now. Like, you know what I mean? It still needs strengthening.
Well, Nelson and Eddie are going to both be on the bench again.
Yeah, they'll be on the bench as well. Like, you know what I mean? So because unless they're sold and brought on, like, I think that the bench is not quite as strong as it should be.
No, it ain't good enough at all. Listen, we're going to leave it there. Listen, hopefully we will start to hear some news in the coming hours, in the coming days, that Arsenal are going to be doing some business, of course. So I pray and I hope that we will be excited, as Josh Kroenke once said, in the coming days. Mark has put in a super chat before I forget. Gave Eddie a new contract to protect his value, and now we can't get rid of him as his wages are too high. Well done again, Edu. And I did mention this on my show, and I said that Nelson and Eddie were told that we would protect their value, and now we can't sell him. It does just look really silly, doesn't it? It just does not look good, Lee. We put them on 100K.
Doesn't look good at the moment. Wait until the end of the transfer window. See what happens.
Yeah, there we go. Listen, do us a favor, people. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you get us up to our next target, which is 40K. Make sure you are following myself. I'm going to be on a show tonight, 8 p.m. on my channel. The Race for Europe show is back. We're going out with all of our Premier League predictions. All of us are getting involved. So please make sure that you are over there to watch that one tonight. Lee, I'll let you see us out, mate.
Enjoy the sun. Get the old sun cream on. Get it on your bonds. Wear an hat. Chill out. We go again tomorrow. We see what happens. There's nothing better than supporting the Arsenal. Remember that.